Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And sitting in for the absent Alan Gilbreth is a special guest, Austin Bell. And if you don't know the name, we're going to introduce you. But if you are paying attention to what's going on in the world of geekdom here in Memphis, you probably have seen his work. And Austin, you run MidSouth Mega Con.
That's correct.
Year one.
We're excited.
Yeah, because, you guys seem to be really doing this up right now. It's coming up May 24th and 25th. It's going to be at the brand new Memphis Sports Complex and Event Center.
Yep.
It's a nice facility, Brandon. Have you? I haven't gone in there, but I watched it. Yeah. Yeah, it's over there by the Liberty Bowl, and I have a sense that there's going to be a lot going on in that building. You know, as a matter of fact, I know there is. You know,
of course,
and we'll be keeping everybody posted.
The inside track, Joe, that everybody else has.
Yeah, but Austin, it was nice for you to come in because now I think you have roots here in Memphis, right?
Oh yeah, I was born and raised here in Memphis. I live only about an hour and a half outside of Memphis now, so Memphis is still close. And kind of hometown for me.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, because we always try to give, for the majority, most of the time, Brandon, we like to work together with other convention organizers. For the most part, people in this town work together, which is not typical in a lot of cities. You probably have seen that, right?
Oh yeah,
Austin?
definitely have seen that before.
Because Austin, you run several conventions actually, so I don't know if you're a glutton for punishment or just a brilliant businessman, but
hey, you are currently full-time doing something that we've talked about as a pipe dream. Of just organizing events. So,
I don't know that it is anymore, Brandon. I used to think, wouldn't it be cool to just do this all the time? But, when you run a convention, man, it can get exhausting, though.
Oh, absolutely.
People will never understand how much work goes into these things.
Thankfully, I've got a really, really good team around me, and it makes it fun.
Yeah. Okay. Fun all the time, huh?
Well, not all the time, but I would say it outnumbers the bad one.
We met one of your team at MidSouth Con, Jackson.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Cool guy.
Oh yeah. No, I love Jackson. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Well, that probably is important too. I mean, you got to have the right people working together, and it's
especially at your promo tables.
Yeah, exactly. So for people that don't know, MidSouth, well, maybe give us the elevator pitch for what MidSouth Mega Con is, because in the world of conventions, well, there's conventions, there's expos, there's a lot of different events, and they all have their own flavor.
I like the spectacles.
Yeah. So, but how would you describe this if somebody didn't know anything about it?
So MidSouth Mega Con is basically we really design it around the family. So that's our major focal point. So it's very, very kid friendly, but it really is the attempt to appeal to all fandoms. So we've got live action actors, we've got voice actors, American animation, anime, we've got wrestling, we've got video game voice actors. We just kind of have a wide variety of special guests that kind of reaches and hits all different types of fandom. That kind of also is the same with our vendors, and then a lot of our just the activities that we have. We have a lot of video gaming events, arcades. We have a live wrestling show. We have a magic show. We've got an American Ninja Warrior course that is all like foamed out so that it's can be used for all ages. So it's a pop culture community event that everybody gets to kind of come and enjoy their own particular fandom.
I think I found my new kindred con.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm always looking for one for us to partner up with, and I think I'm in love.
Well, all right, easy, Brandon. But the thing is, I like your approach though, Austin, because with the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, one of the important things right out of the gate was, okay, well, why not make it where families can come? Because I've seen conventions actually that are 18 and older, and that's it. Like, and some conventions don't necessarily think about giving the kids something to do, and you need that next generation of fans anyway. So, and they bring a good energy as well. So, I think it's important too that if you make tickets affordable, then they can bring the whole family, and it creates a better dynamic anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but now what are we at? 3 weeks away. So
3 weeks. Yep.
How are plans going for the convention?
Really good. Our ticket sales are very strong. We're getting a lot of good buzz. Our special guests, all of them, our flights are booked, hotels are booked, so everything is good on that side. Vendors are ready to go. We're ready. This is exciting.
So tell us about some of your guests then. So
our biggest, I guess, our headliners, we've got Dean Cain, who most people would know from the old
Lois and Clark.
Yep. He's Superman. Billy West, who's just a legendary voice actor. He's done hundreds of voices, from anything from Futurama to the old Doug and Ren and Stimpy and things like that. We've got Ryan Drummond, who is Sonic the Hedgehog in a lot of the video games.
One of the people on our team, she's very excited about his appearance here.
Oh, yeah. He's got a big fandom around him. We have Adassa that's going to really, I guess, cater towards that younger audience from Encanto. The Disney.
She's a sweet lady. We had her a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So.
She's awesome.
So much fun to work with.
A big, I guess, local favorite, I would say. We've gotten a lot of engagement on his announcements and things, but Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man wrestler.
Everybody has a price.
Oh, yeah.
What's really cool about him is he not only caters to the wrestling fans, but he's also a born again pastor.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you can get it. He gets you from all sides.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Yep. So we've got him. We've got Sean Patrick Flannery, which is
the young Indiana Jones.
He's the young Indiana Jones.
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints was one of his probably biggest hits.
Oh yeah, that's a weird movie, isn't it? Don't you think?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, so then we have some anime voice actors. The guy who voices Bakugo from My Hero and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that.
All right, we're going to continue finding out all about MidSouth Mega Con when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. Targ burgers are now on the menu. The Geek Patrol is back.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and our buddy Max over there behind the glass, and sitting in for the vacationing Alan Gilbreth. I don't know that he's vacationing, Brandon, but he's up to something.
Oh, no. I know exactly where he is. He is recovering from all day yesterday at the Bartlett Animal Shelter. He was there for their chipping and vaccine event.
Yeah, and they had deer running amok among the dogs and the cats. So I hope he got video. That's all I can say. So it sounded pretty out of hand. But sitting in his place, never fear, we have a guest, Austin Bell, who runs, among other events, he runs MidSouth Mega Con. And, Brandon, I feel like there's a little explanation here. And, Austin, just indulge me for a second. We, because people might say, well, wait a minute. I thought you guys run the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. Why are you talking about some other event? Well, we have a philosophy here in Memphis. We like the principle of a rising tide lifts all boats. So we like to promote other geek events, provided they, are in line with what we support.
We've come across events in the past that were literally money laundering schemes that have taken over things like.
Or they sure seem like it.
Oh no! There was a certain one, and we sent out. It was me, Alyssa, and Laura went out to do broadcasting from there. They were really excited, but then they didn't want to give us anywhere where there was power.
Oh yeah,
and we found out that all they were doing was they were using it to sell bootleg merchandise.
Okay,
we won't say names or organizations because I don't like getting sued.
Well, the thing is, so Austin, because we're in our 15th year of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention. When we started, there was really only one or two conventions in town. Now there's quite a few. But the thing is, back then, convention attendance was like, we were at like 1,500 people or something. Well, today we're well over 15,000 people, and I like to believe that that's because we cooperate. So if your event attracts a lot of fans, hopefully we can attract some of those to our event, and one hand washes the other. And
Absolutely.
Plus,
and I just think it makes more sense to work that way. So that's and if you schedule your dates properly where you're not conflicting with other events, that's also useful as well. So, but we like what you're putting together here, man. So we wanted to have you on.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
But now we were just getting into some of your guests, but there's other things to do. And you did say this is pretty family friendly.
Yes, very family friendly. Obviously, we're going to have a large vendor floor. We're going to have gaming tournaments from anything from like old retro video games to the newer, more modern esports. This facility has an esports kind of lounge, so it's set up for modern esports and like just the modern gaming. They got PCs and Nintendo Switches and all kinds of stuff like that. And so we're going to have tournaments around that, as well as just free play consoles for people who just want to sit down and play for a while. And then we've also got like your trading card games as well. So like Magic the Gathering and One Piece and Pokemon and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's so, I mean, it is nice because this facility sounds like it was almost designed for events like yours.
It is a really, really cool facility. It's only been around for like a year and a half. So there's still not a lot of people that know about it yet, but it's a very, very modern facility. Everything's very nice and clean, and it's just got a lot of really cool features to it. Again, it's got an American Ninja Warrior course, and it's like really nice and big, and it's all.
Is that part of their?
It's part of their facility.
Oh, cool.
And so it's a permanent fixture, and so we've rented it out for the whole weekend to be able to offer that free to all of our attendees as well.
Oh, that's cool. I thought you were bringing that in.
Now I know that they've done things like junior league sports and stuff there and everything, but it really appears like you might be the first big citywide advertised event. So
you're probably helping them by bringing attention.
I was going to say, how's it feel to be the guy who's introducing this to the community when a lot of folks have no clue it's there?
Well, it's a little bit nervous to be breaking it in, but it is such a really cool facility, and it really works out really, really well for an event like this.
Cool.
Because it does provide a lot of seating. It also has a lot of. It's a very, very large. It's 75,000 square foot room,
right?
And so it feels just big, and that's one of the things that we wanted MidSouth Mega Con to feel. We wanted to have it feel like just a large event.
Right.
No, that's awesome, man. So
I don't mean to say to disparage any of the rest of the events, but the idea of something being huge, because as much as I love our events here in Memphis, we don't really feel outside of ABC. We don't really have anything that's huge.
I don't know if I'd agree, but okay.
No. I mean, as far as the cons go, a lot of them are very niche and very it's like there may be space, but it's one thing. This seems like I said earlier, I love the spectacles, and this feels like it can be.
Well, we hope so.
From the American Ninja Warrior course to the the vendors you've got coming in, the artists. I can't wait to see the artists that are there. And of course, you've got tournaments, a live wrestling show. It's like a magician. I'm a sucker for illusionists. I really am, and I have been since I was a kid. So I'm like almost like quivering in anticipation. I'm really excited about this.
I have a dumb question. It's going to sound like a dumb question, but maybe it'll make sense to you. Is this carpeted or is it a hard floor?
So it is. I don't exactly know what kind of floor it is.
Yeah.
It's not carpeted, but it's also not hardwood. They use this almost. It's not quite the same type of flooring as basketball courts.
Yeah,
but it is a sports facility type flooring. So it's almost like it's hard, but has like a layer of softness underneath it. I don't 100%.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
It's like it's a hard floor, but it's got an elasticity to the top.
It's got a cushioned subfloor.
Yeah.
Well, this might sound like a real inside baseball question, but Austin and Brandon, you know this too. Flooring plays a huge role in your event.
Yes.
Like logistically, and there's all sorts of it sets a mood. It even has to do with the ambiance of a space and everything like that. So that's why I asked, because I'm like, this is a huge space.
I've been in some venues that give me shining, feelings when I look at the carpet.
Well, we want to take advantage of having Austin here when we come back to talk a little bit about the adventures of organizing conventions.
Cool.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Okay. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And sitting in for Alan Gilbreth is our pal Austin Bell. He's, well, among other things, he runs MidSouth Mega Con. You're a convention organizer. You've got several around the Southeast, right?
Yes, sir.
And so this is the first year of MidSouth Mega Con. It's coming up May 24th and 25th at the Memphis Sports and Event Center over there by the Liberty Bowl. Yep. Just look for the Liberty Bowl and fan out, I guess. And it's also by the Coliseum. It's in that complex.
You're going to get somebody lost, Joe.
Well, the thing about it is, if you drive around it, eventually you're going to find it. You can't get too lost. Just go down East Parkway or Southern or
everybody listening at home. I will share the event to our Facebook page. Yeah. There will be ample chance of getting directions.
And like I said, if you're just tuning in, and I think this is a good opportunity to just sort of remind people about things, because somebody might be tuning in and going, I don't get this. You guys run your own convention. Why are you helping promote somebody else's? And once again, we have this philosophy here in Memphis that if we all work together and we cooperate, that actually it benefits all of us, which is what we're doing. So in that spirit, Brandon, before we move on, I just want to say there is no shortage of fun things to do in Memphis fandom. So coming up in June, we have Anime Blues Con. I think this is their 14th annual. In September, we have the 11th annual Memphis Comic Expo, which actually going to be at the same
Sportsplex.
So you're getting to break it in for them. And then in November, we have the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
And I'm going to go ahead and give you a heads up. A week beforehand, you've got Corinth Comic Con.
That's right. If
you which is drive also out to Corinth, one of Austin's events.
Right. And then we have...
And I know a lot of our artists have already logged in there.
And ShadowCon in January, and then in March we have MidSouth Con. So we've got a lot going on. Those are the events you need to know about here in the Memphis area. Anyway, but
I got one question for you though.
Yeah,
and this is for Austin. When's West Tennessee?
West Tennessee is September 13th and 14th, I believe. It's unfortunately the same weekend as
the Comic
Memphis
Expo.
Comic Expo.
But as much as we love Donnie here, you announced first. They're your dates.
Well, let's not get into a turf war, because we support
everybody.
Yeah, Donnie.
We will do what we can for everybody here.
Yeah, we want a good turnout for all those guys. But hey, I thought this is an interesting idea to talk about. I don't know if people could ever really appreciate how much work or how really stressful organizing events like this can be. Because really, you're taking a risk everywhere you go, right, Austin? I mean, this is a financial risk.
Absolutely, and there are a ton of challenges. And back to Donnie, like me and him have a really great relationship, and it's just when it comes to venues and dates, and sometimes
that's just where you end up.
That's exactly right, and so we're good there, and
We've worked with a lot of venues over the years. We've hit the Hilton. We've done the Marriott. We were at the Guest House at Graceland. We've been at the Holiday Inn, at the U of M for the past couple of years. We were there also for our second year, and then the year that must not be named, we were at the Cook Convention Center. And
year number one,
the year that will not be named. What I like to refer to as beta MCFC. It's like we were still in testing phase, but one thing that you will learn is that sometimes you only have so many dates that are available, and you don't want to double book, but sometimes you have to. And it's always great when the people who double book have a good relationship, like you and Donnie, because it can get bad in some cases.
Yeah. Have you ever now not to tell tales on people, but like we said, Memphis has a very unique vibe. For the most part, just about every convention cooperates. Yeah. There's a couple of exceptions, but have you ever run into cities where maybe the fandom isn't that way, or other events don't really roll out the carpet for you? Or
I have heard of a lot. Thankfully, in the markets that I have my shows in, I've always had a really good relationship with the other
Right.
con owners and con organizers.
Oh, that's good.
But there's definitely some other markets. My first show is actually in South Carolina, and it's called Southeast Game Exchange. It's a gaming expo,
Right.
And in that kind of genre of events, there's a couple up in the like Ohio area, and they do not get along with each other.
Yeah.
And obviously in this whole field, we kind of we get to know a lot of the other event organizers and kind of see the ins and outs of all the drama that takes place. And thankfully, it's never happened with any of our shows, but I've definitely seen that in other markets.
I've heard stories, and so because I wouldn't want to function in that area. I mean, it's like you're dependent. You kind of are depending on each other. You want the same people to attend your events,
and that's the thing is like you don't want to cause too much issue, because if you start alienate each other, you alienate the fans of those, and then if you're going to basically cut your audience in half because of I don't like these guys and I don't want them here, it hurts everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because like before the break, I was asking you about the flooring, and people might say, well, that's a random kind of, but when you go to a venue, every venue has its own vibe, its own aura, its own location, its own, features, and I don't know, things like that. So I'm guessing, Austin, when you go to a place, you look at buildings probably differently than a lot of people would.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. It's I can't tell you how many times I'm just stepping off square footage and people are like looking at me like, what is this guy doing?
I always, whenever we go and look at a new venue, I always go, all right, do I have room for this programming? Can I do my workshops in here? Because some of them are makeup effects. There's going to be blood everywhere. Does the acoustics in this room work for, this? Will the acoustics over in this room cause issues because there's going to be 14 different video games going on at once? Joe goes in there and he looks at the ceiling and then he looks at the floor and then he walks the room.
Yep.
And it's fascinating to watch him, especially he's a contractor, so he's measuring out everything. And it's fascinating to watch him do it. I just need the functionality, but he measures out everything in his head.
It's cool, though. I mean, it's because, people have to realize these are the kind of conversations that have to be had before an event to make sure everybody's going to enjoy it. So, all right, well, we're going to talk some more con logistics when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and our buddy Max over there behind the glass, and sitting in place of Alan, because Alan is off recovering from his big event yesterday at the Dog Rescue Center, is our friend Austin Bell, who is a convention organizer. He organizes conventions around here in the Southeast, right? And Corinth Comic Con, several others, but we're here today to talk about MidSouth Mega Con.
You didn't write them down, did you?
Well, I don't remember every name and venue. Sorry, but MidSouth Mega Con. If you've been paying attention, I know a lot of your sponsored posts are showing up on our Facebook feed. You've got some billboards. People that are in the know are finding out about this, but it's May 24th and 25th over at the Memphis Sports and Events Center over there by Southern and East. Wait, is it East Parkway? Yeah. I always forget which parkway that is because I never pay attention to the roads. Yeah. It's the new facility. It looks really nice, man. And you guys are sort of breaking it in for the geeks around here because I think you're the first big event there, as far as I know, right?
I believe so. And
at least for our
excited.
Community.
Yeah, we're excited. I think when a lot of the other shows see the facility, it's going to be kind of become a staple.
Yeah.
Well, without naming names, because we don't do that, Brandon. Don't name any names.
I'm going to name all the names.
I'm a big fan. Austin, you work in several different cities. I think it's a benefit to events like ours when there is a little healthy competition among the venues in town.
Absolutely.
Like if another venue in town sees this new complex, they're going to have to up their game. And and it improves the situation for all of us. So I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it, but there's a certain hotel that's up for sale that I would love to see somebody take over and turn it back into a reputable convention venue.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I don't like the word reputable because I know the venue you're talking about. So, but okay, never mind. We're not throwing anybody.
No.
Or talking to inside baseball, but Austin, you are an organizer. And when did you go from deciding this is your full-time job now, right?
Now it is. This is our first. This is
That's
my
a
first
big transition, man.
We've been doing shows for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So this is we've done Corinth Comic Con, West Tennessee Comic Con up in Jackson, Tennessee. Corinth Comic Con was in Corinth, Mississippi, and then we run Southeast Game Exchange in Greenville, South Carolina. So this is our first year for MidSouth or Memphis, and first year of us having an actual full-time team of people. So there's three of us that are 100% full-time on working on this, and it's
cool.
I wish I could say that it was only 40 hours a week, but it's
That's
much
a
longer
joke.
than that.
That's like, it's not my full-time gig, and I still spend more than 40 hours a week, especially as we're gearing up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm curious then so 10 years ago, I'm just thinking even back then the landscape was a little different back then, but what made you, you have to pick and choose what cities you go to. So what brought you to Memphis?
I just felt like there was an opportunity to bring our kind of flavor of show. I've got some really good friends that run other shows in other markets, and this whole kind of pop culture type show, and we just kind of felt like there was an opportunity to come in and run our flavor of it.
So here's Joe, you look confused. Basically,
no, I don't look confused.
Prodigal son comes back to give us geekdom.
No, the reason I was thinking is because people might think, oh, well, it's a convention, but it's just like a restaurant. Every restaurant has their own menu items and their own flavor. So it's every convention is basically its own experience. Like honestly, we have a different experience than ours.
There's a handful of people who listening will go, but you do this and you do the same thing and you do this. So it's all steak restaurants. It's like, yeah, but it's the seasoning on top of it. Especially when you're in Memphis, you got to live off your seasoning.
Yeah.
And let's just make it barbecue restaurants instead. I'm sorry about the steak reference.
But no, every event generally you would hope has their own kind of vibe and their own activities, and it's different guests every year. It's just it's a whole different flavor. And actually, from year to year, it's a different event, sort of, right?
Oh yeah, and there a lot of the other I guess geek type events in Memphis were kind of more fall.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the exception of like ABC. But yeah, so we kind of thought there's an opportunity in the spring, and again to bring our kind of flavor of fandom to the market,
especially with something that is good for your kids to come to as well.
Yeah,
it's like school's getting out. Let's go hog wild down at Mega Con.
Well, and I think it's because you meant Anime Blues is the biggest convention in Memphis, but it's a different flavor. That is. Anime Blues is as different as you could be. Anime conventions have their whole other energy. So,
I don't mean to disparage any of my anime friends or fans out there, but anime conventions can be scary because they're just usually so massive.
Oh, and they have energy out the wall. Well, the kids wear.
I'm too old for that kind of energy.
All right, real quick before we get out of here, though, can you recap how do people get tickets? How do people get involved, and how do people check you out? So.
Yeah, you can go to MidSouthMegaCon.com. You can find all the information as far as ticket prices. And it is a Saturday, Sunday event, so there are tickets for the full weekend. There's also tickets for just a single day for Saturday or Sunday. If you go online and purchase your tickets early, that you do get a small discount. So if you're dead set on going, go ahead, get those tickets. We do expect there to be a line in the morning. We have bought out the parking lot, so there will be free parking to all of our attendees and vendors. So but I do believe it's limited to like only 500 vehicles. So get there early, get your free parking spot. And there's all kinds of fun activities.
What are the hours? We haven't given those out yet.
So there is a VIP pass that if you purchase it, I believe it's up until Monday, you can get a VIP pass.
Okay.
If you get a VIP pass, you get in an hour early, but the hours are 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. on Saturday and 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. on Sunday.
Okay, perfect.
deal.
Well, awesome, man. This is it's been great having you in, and we'll be there. We're going to be set up in our booth too. But it's time to get out of here, you guys. The clock waits for nobody. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
Austin Bell.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, preparing to fight my way through Billy West's line.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Gods, leave us.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. This is a little bonus content. We didn't even tease this, Brandon. So if somebody was listening during the live broadcast on the Max, well, they missed this. This is a good reason to check out the podcast, right?
Well, I mean, or follow us on Facebook or, any of the various social media outlets that we tend to, run off at the mouth on.
Yeah. So bonus content, we don't have to watch the clock as tightly, and we just want to get said what we want to say. But
Right.
actually, Max, we've got some things to say about Star Wars and a few other points. But Max, you had things to say since it's May the 4th.
Well, in honor of May the 4th, it's kind of funny that rather than talking about George Lucas, I like the idea of talking about one of the directors that Lucas himself was inspired by. And surprise, surprise, it's a Japanese director for me, Akira Kurosawa.
Oh, I'm so shocked.
Well, but it's true. I've heard this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, when was he around? Because are his films in black and white or?
His films are in black and white. There are some that I believe that are in color, but his famous he was 1910 to 1998. He was 98. He was 88 years old.
Okay. Have you ever seen any of his work?
Yes. I've seen Redbeard, which is all about a wizened old doctor and everything and his antics that ensue. I've seen Rashomon, which is apparently an influence for Lucas. The funny thing is it's Rashomon is actually named after a book by an author from back in the day, and the plot itself has nothing to do with the movie itself, other than the fact that it takes place in a similar gate.
Okay, interesting. So why?
And he also draws inspiration from Shakespeare too for Kurosawa. But what were you saying?
I was just saying. Well, he said that he's been influenced, but what do you notice? Like when you're watching some of the work, what do you notice that's maybe similar to Star Wars themes?
Well, let's start with the more obvious ones.
Okay.
This is where we go back to the 1958 film Hidden Fortress, which has pretty clear similarities between, Star Wars and this film, because there are two main characters in there that are kind of inept peasants that are tasked with guarding a wayward princess.
Nice.
Inept peasants. So that's the model for the C-3PO and
No,
R2-D2.
Luke and Han in their stormtrooper disguises trying to save Leia, and Leia has to turn around and save them.
Well,
they're kind of inept.
I'm seeing C-3PO, although not R2-D2. R2-D2 is not inept.
3PO's not guarding anybody.
Well, what do you see, Max?
I see 3PO and R2-D2,
There
but
you go.
in terms of maybe they're also because of the fact that they're also wisecracking in the Hidden Fortress movie too.
Interesting.
And then here's where things get even more fascinating. There's a general that was part of like a defeated noble family. His name is Roku Rota Makabe, and he was an influencer Obi-Wan Kenobi because he was a disgraced general, so to say, during the Clone Wars, and his rival, a man by the name of Hyoi Tadokoro, he defeats him in a duel, but leaves him alive but scarred.
Interesting. Huh. So wait. So like, in other words, the Anakin. I'm trying to think of who these people are that they're influenced. You're saying the scarred guy is Anakin?
The scarred guy is Anakin Hyoi. He's left alive after a duel with Roku Rota, which was the warrior or general from a former noble family, which is interesting.
Well, if we're talking though about some of the things that you notice in a lot of Japanese storytelling, of course, we talk about anime quite a bit, but the one thing we've always talked about is, man, it seems like a lot of Japanese storytellers are very good at probing human emotion. like we see that with Attack on Titan or Violet Evergarden or Death Note or any of these. But is there a similar feel, do you think, in some of this work?
It might be a little different. There are some Kurosawa works that are a little bit more introspective. Like there's one that's called Kagemusha, which is like a lot of like interior dialogue with certain military men, so to say. So you still have a little bit of that introspective influence with stuff like that back in the day. But I think anime is really where the medium and those possibilities are harnessed, which is interesting. And what's cool is the actor who played the general, who also helps protect the princess too. He originally, other than Alec Guinness starring as Kenobi, Lucas actually considered Toshiro Mifune, who is the guy who played in a lot of other Kurosawa films,
Really?
to play Obi-Wan. But I guess it kind of fell through.
Huh. I wonder why he chose Alec Guinness. Why do you think, Brandon? Because I heard he didn't even want to do the role.
He didn't want to do it. No.
Thought it's because he was like a veteran actor.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a lot of charisma, but...
Well, he wanted to give it a touch of, professional class. That he wanted somebody that, kind of elevated what they had, because nobody else really was known.
Huh.
I mean...
Because, all the villains had British accents, which is sort of a cliche, and then, but Alec Guinness had a British accent, too, so... Okay.
But he's from the before times, so I don't know. I'm not going to pontificate about stuff that I have no actual knowledge of. I'm not Alan.
I was going to say that doesn't stop Alan. I mean, but anyway.
Alan was there. Alan was everywhere.
But okay.
The only reason he's not here is because he got tackled by a bear at the animal shelter.
Right.
I wanted to get into some little bit more lesser-known influences, too, with regards to Kurosawa. Here's something where it gets really fascinating. I told you about this off-air, Joe, but there's a 1975 film by Kurosawa, which is the only film of his that's shot in a language other than Japanese. It was shot in Russian because it takes place in, like, eastern Siberia, and it's a film called Dirsu Uzala, which is named after a hunter from back in the day. And what's interesting is that there are pretty clear stylistic influences that Lucas drew from this film in particular, because there's a scene in this film where the sun and the moon can be seen at the same time in a particular shot, which is a pretty clear which is clearly homaged in the Twin Sons of Tatooine.
Interesting. Was the shot structured the same? Like did Lucas purposely mirror this shot?
I think it was somewhat different in terms of like because the sun and the moon in this scene, the moon's up here, the sun's down below. And so I guess the sun is rising and the moon is slowly descending, rather than, I think in A New Hope, it's a little bit more of a different placement.
I don't know. I get, I'm always fascinated, Brandon,
right.
With like why something, okay, because it's like, okay, well, George Lucas was influenced by this type of thing. The question is why? Like, okay, because this is a filmmaker from what, what'd you say, 1910 to like 1950?
1910 to 1998.
Yeah, I was watching that documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin, and Robert Plant. They were showing footage of this old blues singer. I think he might have been from the Memphis area. He said, "My entire musical career revolves around the influence of this man. This guy's playing the harmonica. He's just playing in some bar, and yet they seem completely like polar opposites. But really, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just odd. Like, how did he discover this music? How did he whatever? But to me, it's like I wonder what it is about George Lucas that he's that's his go-to art form, I guess you could say.
I mean,
it's like
old
Japanese black and white movies.
Hey, it's what he loved, and he found a way to make a space opera out of it.
Maybe also too, if you I don't want is it stealing or
what
is it paying
inspired you
homage? You know what I mean? Like if you do an exact shot for shot thing of the Twin Sons of Tatooine, is that, you know what I mean? Is that a lack of creativity, or is it just like paying honor?
There's a very fine line between just stealing something and paying homage to it.
That's what I've always wondered.
You know,
What's the difference?
The difference is intent, and you can't gauge the intent. You know, me and you could see it from two different angles and constantly argue, but the truth is it's what George says. His intent was, I was so moved because by the lone warrior standing on the hill as the wind flips through his kimono and he is staring out at the sunset. I was so moved by that I wanted to place, I wanted that kind of moment with Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. You know, it's all intent. If he never says anything, but he's like, that was cool,
And I think it also has to do with upbringing too. It just so happens that the films that Lucas was brought up with happen to be the films of Kurosawa, for example.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, George Lucas is older than we probably. How old is he? Is he getting near 80?
Oh, that's a really good question. I stopped counting his age when he kind of disappeared from public light.
Okay. All right. Well, what got you interested in this line? Because it's May the 4th, so I'm wondering what took you down this road, Max.
Well, it's pretty obvious because of the fact that, I have a love of the Japanese language and the people, and so I like the idea of a well-known cultural icon having its influence through a humble and popular director like Kurosawa too. So it's like anybody from the land of Japan who leaves his impact mark on popular media up here in the States has got my vote.
All right, cool. All right, well, that's pretty interesting. That's probably I bet that's a rabbit hole you could go down on YouTube. I bet you somewhere there's videos and
you just gotta
research about this.
You just gotta search around all the George Lucas is a hack or Disney ruined Star Wars videos that are out there. But somewhere there's bound to be a good video on that.
All right. Well, speaking of Disney ruining Star Wars, which we've heard, which I don't buy that. There's Disney Star Wars I love, and there's Disney Star Wars I hate.
I will tell you exactly who ruined Star Wars, and that's Star Wars fans.
Yeah, we've heard that. But Brandon, here we are in the thick of things with the thing I'm paying attention to obviously is Andor. Season 2.
Right.
And
we just got
I'm not complete. No, actually, I am caught up. That's right.
Yeah, I was going to say, we just got our second set of episodes. The story.
And we're dealing in spoilers, folks.
The story of Skyvan. Dude, I'm sorry. Andor's hair is magic. His pompadour, mullet-like thing that he's wearing when he's the fashion designer looking for the materials.
Right.
Because he goes undercover on Gorman, which is a high-end, what you would refer to as kind of a high-end planet. That's where the spiders live that make all the the materials. The Empire, of course, wants the resources. The Empire is going to build a weapons facility there, but they're not telling anybody it's a weapons facility. And we lose a character that we've kind of grown fond of over the first season and into this one. And you finally get to see. And this has been the running theme in season 2, you finally get to see the horrors of war and how the governing empire takes advantage of their authority.
Yeah, and propaganda. I thought it was really interesting learning about the way they weaponize propaganda and things like that. And really, you said they're building a weapons facility. They're making it very clear that that's what they're doing.
Right.
And it's like, what are you going to do about it? And what are you going to say about it? And then because they're provoking them into reacting and doing something. But so this skips. So every 3 episodes is going to skip ahead a year.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I'm trying to figure out, Brandon. Are they going to do any kind of recap, or is it left to our imagination to find out like what happened to Tay? And what we know he's gone.
Right.
The thing is, Mon Mothma and Perrin looked like they were having a good old time together. Like, did that strengthen their relationship? And
that's the
getting
thing
rid of like a rival or something, or
and it very well may be something along those lines. Of course, we know he's gone, but we don't know exactly where he's gone
or how he was gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars has a way of people who are potential selfish villains showing back up scarred or missing limbs or whatnot, or their brain in a giant robot body, General Grievous, and and they like to seek their revenge. So,
Okay, but
you know,
wait. When we left at the end of the first three, at the end of episode 3, Cinta is driving Tay. She's
Right.
hidden as his driver, and I couldn't help but noticing that open air vehicle. Like if it was a convertible.
Right.
Well, I'm like, how hard would it be to open the top, flip the thing over, and drop them out over a mountain? Or
right.
something?
But when you have someone who is helping finance your rebellion, even though he wants to know what's in it for him, that's when that guy goes missing, not in a dead kind of way, but in a
Hostage.
captive kind of way. So you continue to funnel his funds into your rebellion.
But it's pretty low down because Mon Mothma was a childhood friend. It sounds like they dated and everything, and she, I don't know, man. Everybody was tainted by the end of episode 3 because she knew what Luthen was going to do.
Right.
But here's the other thing. So Cinta was injured. She said, I was injured. It sounded like it might have been that incident.
Right.
So did he fight back?
No. I mean,
it's interesting that they're not telling us.
But here's the thing: Cinta may have been driving him, but did she even know what was going to happen?
Come on!
Oh no, you think about it. If she knew, she could have known that this was the moment where they were going to remove him as an obstacle. But if she was injured in it, maybe she didn't know how they were going to remove him as an obstacle, and she actually got injured in the attack of whoever attacked the ship, or I'm sorry, I just can't see Tay as being even. I can't see him as even being remotely.
He seemed like a good dude, actually.
No, I'm talking about being able to injure her.
Oh, he doesn't seem like a tough guy or anything.
Yeah, he came across very much like a pacifist.
Right.
He didn't want to be involved, but he knew it was the right thing to do. But he's the kind of guy. He's like Doc on G.I. Joe. Not Doc. A Lifeline on G.I. Joe. He won't touch a gun. Dude, you're in the military. Why won't you touch a gun?
Right.
So I think that they may have set something up, and she probably was injured, or that could have been something else that was.
We don't know.
Yeah.
What I think's interesting is they're not telling us this, and I don't know if they're going to tell us.
Probably not.
Which makes it interesting.
They'll fill in the bits that we need to know over the course of however many years using the various other media that falls into Star Wars canon.
Or maybe just a comment here or there maybe fills it in. But I like that they don't spoon feed us everything. There's still, I mean, I have to be honest though, Brandon. I mean, season 1 to me was. I just love season 1. I'm not.
I mean,
it's really good, but I'm not feeling quite that they're at the level of season 1.
Yeah, well, that's because you're not being introduced to the world anymore. Part of what makes season 1 so just like breathtaking is learning the world, learning the people. We haven't met anything new.
We need to. Okay, but the other thing in season 1. Okay, here's some of my standout moments, like especially with Luthen. One of my favorite moments with Luthen is obviously that speech that he gives when he's talking to when he's in the basement by the elevator there. Okay, what would you call that? I don't know if that's his manifesto or whatever, but that was a standout to me. Listening to what is the guy that he got killed?
Nemec.
Nemec. Listening to him reading the voiceover of him reading the manifesto, but also you remember that scene with Luthen where he escapes the trawl, like he's in this little thing, and he just calmly just wipes these guys out. It was great.
Oh, and his Fondor.
Yeah, he basically takes out the fighters. He disengages the tractor beam, and he just calmly flies off. And I'm like, that is just cool. We haven't really had that with Luthen this season. He hasn't had any big moments really. So I hope we're gonna get that, but. It seems like each 3 episodes there's a different shift in who they're focusing on too. Because this episode these episodes there was barely any Dedra or we didn't see much from the ISP or thing. I don't know. It's different. But I guess we have to just see. We got 6 more episodes to go.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely a great show. I just I don't know. They had big shoes to fill for the first season, so. But
True.
Anyway, it's May the 4th, which, what are you going to do when you get out of here? So.
Oh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to sleep.
Okay.
No,
I mean, the May the 4th thing has always been pretty artificial to me because it's really just marketing, right?
Right.
It's not like an actual
it's like I'm not going to jump online on Hasbro Pulse and order any just released Black Series figures like the new Han and Chewie because I've stopped collecting anything that takes up space in my room these days.
Yeah,
my office is covered in stuff like that. I'm not going to watch the movies because that's a task in and of itself because I cannot just sit down and watch Star Wars. I have to watch 4 through 6, 1 through 3,
right.
7 through 9, because if I'm going to start the saga, I got to do it all. I've watched Rogue One.
That's 3-day investment. Man.
I've watched Rogue One recently, so I'm not going to do that again because that is an emotional toil. Because it's such a good movie, but at the same time, it's like afterwards it's one of those movies where you watch it and you're exhausted afterwards.
Yeah,
that's like maybe it's like D+ has like the Ewoks cartoon. Maybe I'll go watch that. Something light and fluffy.
Okay.
But no, it's like I'm not a huge fan of the May the 4th extravaganza, as it were, because it does.
Yeah, to me, that's just cheap
it's
marketing.
always felt artificial.
Right. I mean, it's a good day to call attention to Star Wars and everything. And I know we're kind of oversaturated with it.
But now it became it's become such a huge internet meme. It's you got May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th.
Right.
And eventually somebody's already, I'm sure, finding a way to use the Mandalorian to do a whole month thing where this is the May. It's gotten just there's this goofiness to it, which resonates with old school Star Wars, but we've got human foibles nowadays where it's like, Star Wars needs to grow up. It can't be a kiddie thing, and then Star Wars don't grow up that fast. It's like
I don't know. Well, it sounds like there's Star Wars for every age group.
There really is, but you also have those hardcore fans that say Star Wars can only be what they like, and they don't even like that. They like a total of 84 minutes worth of Star Wars across, 40 years.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, these days, that's what I do. I just sort of pick and choose. I'm like, okay, you're not going to like everything. I don't like every Batman comic written. I don't like every, I don't
like hardly any Batman comics written anymore.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need you to retread a story that I read 20 years ago.
Exactly.
The art just changed, and maybe the dialogue's a little more updated, but it's the same story.
Okay. All right. Did you guys have anything else before we bail out of here?
No, I think we're good. I mean, we love Star Wars still, and just the day itself. I think.
Well, we have to recognize it.
We have to recognize it because that's what we do in here with the Geek Patrol. We take pop culture and we shove it down your throat in little tasty bites.
There you go. All right. So, and then next week we will do the same.
That would have been a great stinger.
Yeah, what way to waste it, Brandon. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, telling you to remember what I said about 10 seconds ago.